President Biden is going to address the United States tonight at 8 p.m. from the Oval Office. And he will be talking about his just completed trip to Israel. He's going to be talking about the war still raging between Russia and Ukraine. And he's going to be talking about potentially what's going to happen in the China-Taiwan area. And according to reports, he's going to ask for another $100 billion for the coming year. Now, that's on top of the $113 billion that was given to Ukraine alone in 2022. And that's on top of the $3.8 billion we already gave to Israel ordinarily that we do, and an additional $2 billion that's been given before. Now, that's a lot of money, and it costs a lot of money to be engaged in the world. So just categorically, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be engaged in the world. The question that we need to ask, though, is what is the benefit to the United States? We are not just an ATM machine that can literally just push buttons and cash just comes out anytime we want it. There's a cost to that. It is a zero-sum game money, because that money can either be used for something that benefits our country, even something domestically, or it cannot be put on the credit card and increase our national debt. We can simply not spend that. So the question is this something that we need to do? Does this help America's national interest? And does it actually make us stronger, more vibrant, and a better economic situation? Now, President Biden has been saying one thing in terms of the Ukraine war that I want to remind you of, and then I want to tell you why this is potentially a problem. Here's kind of a montage of what he's been saying recently. You probably
joined by Ukrainian's ambassador to the United States. She represents not just her nation, but the courage of her people. We're going to stand with you as long as it takes.
I think it's a powerful statement of our commitment to Ukraine as it defends its freedom today and as it rebuilds the future. And we're going to be there as long as that takes.
We will not waver. We will not waver. I mean that. Our commitment to Ukraine will not weaken. We will stand for liberty and freedom today, tomorrow, and for as long as it takes.
Okay, as long as it takes to what? Now, it's one thing to stand conceptually behind freedom and liberty and all those other cool buzzwords, but it's another thing to do something that's actually pragmatic, something that can actually succeed. Because if we're going down a path, especially in the Ukraine war, that's saying, hey, we're just going to continue to throw money at this thing no matter what's happening on the ground, that is a problem, because that doesn't help Ukraine ultimately, and it definitely doesn't help the United States. It doesn't help European security. It doesn't help NATO if giving that money makes no difference. I mean, think about that. If we've given $113 billion in 2022, and we don't even have the full tally for what's been given this year so far, and now that we want to add some other number, and he hasn't broken down how much of that $100 billion would actually go to the Ukraine war, but whatever that number is, all of that together from the start of the war until today has made almost no change in the front lines since November of last year. November of last year. So we're closing in on a full year where the front lines have almost not changed at all. And in fact, according to a New York Times analysis, from January through the end of September, Russia had actually gained more territory than Ukraine had recaptured in the year. And there is no rational military prospect that that's going to change in 2024. Ukraine has lost so many men and so much material, and we have given so many weapons and ammunition, and we simply don't have that much. Again, I've said on previous deep dives that we have given over 5,000 military vehicles of all different calibers and all different types, 2 million artillery shells so far. It's probably more by now. Hundreds of millions of machine gun bullets and other kinds of ammunition, tens of thousands of rockets. We don't have another duplicate volume of that nature to give without seriously compromising our own national security. Those are the facts. That's just the facts. If we continue to downgrade, to diminish and draw down the stocks that we have for our own national security, it can't help but diminish our capacity. And then that's one thing, and that might be enough by itself. But then on the second side, You have to look at what's the prospect on the ground. It is clear that Russia has continued to dig in. They have continued to improve their defensive positions that Ukraine was unable to penetrate. They have now lost upwards of 70,000 since June, since they first started this operation. And now Russia is making a bit of an offensive move in the north part. They've now gone back a little bit on the offense in a place called Vuhledar. So the question that President Biden must answer tonight is not just how much we're going to give to Ukraine, how much he's going to ask for, by the way. Let me clarify that. He doesn't get to just do it on his own. He has to ask for it. Your money, your decision. What is the objective? What is the prospect of success? And what is the time frame that operation can be expected? Because anybody who's going to spend their own money is not going to say, hey, yeah, let's say that your son has an idea for a business. And he says, it's a great idea. How much do you need? I need $10,000. Okay, here. You're not just going to go, okay, here. You're going to say, okay, what's the plan? Let me see your business plan. What are your projections? What is the research that this is based on? And then if it makes sense, and you say, sure, let's go and see if we can do that. But if a year after that, you give the money and he says, yeah, I need another $10,000. And where's based on what? And he just said, just give me the money because I'm going to keep trying. And he has no returns to show for the first $10,000. Nobody is just going to throw good money after bad. And that's the situation we're in right now, especially with the Russia-Ukraine situation. The president owes it to America to say, I know what's happened so far. Here's what's happened so far. But here's why we're going to continue to go forward. And here's what we hope to accomplish with that. And here's the process. And if it makes sense, then great. If it's in America's interest and the president can lay out a valid and convincing plan, cool, let's go with it. But if he can't, or if he doesn't even offer that, then we need to seriously question through our representatives that, hey, the days of just blank check with no questions asked are definitely over. In the immediate aftermath of Russia's invasion, that probably made sense. Just here, give you as much stuff as we can and see what you can do. That time is over. We're now 20 months into this war, and it is no longer appropriate to just throw money without any questions asked for as long as it takes, because that's not in America's national interest. And that's what I expect to hear from the president tonight. Well, let me clarify. That's what I want to hear from the president tonight, but I fear that all we're going to hear is more, bumper sticker words and freedom and democracy and defense. And, oh my gosh, we're all going to be next if we don't stop them here. And as we've said in previous deep dives, and I'll get into it in a future situation, that's nonsense. Russia clearly doesn't have any capacity. They may not even be able to take much more than they are, but they haven't done anything since the initial invasion, basically by March 2022. They're still on the lines that they were on in November as well. So that should tell you there's no risk that Russia is going to roll into NATO countries if he, completely takes over Ukraine in some distant future. It's not going to happen. There's no path for that. So let's focus on American national security, on American economic prosperity, and keeping our country solid and safe, and not just giving our money because somebody else wants it. That's your deep dive for today. Thanks. We'll see you next time.